All right, folks. In this guitar lesson, we're going to cover that slow blues video that I uploaded a few days back. We're going to cover the basic go-to rhythms you can throw in your blues. You can use this in country tunes as well, faster blues, almost anything. This will become part of your playing. In the beginning, I used to just play really basically, and then as you go along, you maybe learn a really nice lick that you want to put in your blues. And then the key to this is once you learn something is don't just learn it for that song. See if you can fit it in other songs. And then eventually it just becomes part of your musical vocabulary. So that's kind of what these are, and the ones that I picked up along the ways, and you'll still see a lot of guitar players playing them too. That's what's cool, that we all kind of end up following the same path somehow. So be sure to watch the video so you can see the ideas of how I played it. I'll link it to this one as well. And then also, if you'd like more of this, let me know. You know, if there's, leave the comments. And you know, the possibilities are endless if you like this kind of stuff. I just thoroughly enjoy it. And like I was saying, it's fun because you can fit it in all your other songs, in any style of music almost. So in this example, we're going to be in the key of A, and you're going to have your 1, 4, and 5. You're going to have your A, your D, and your E. Okay, and I'll upload the chord charts and all that stuff, so I won't get into too much as far as telling you where to put your fingers at. And this is kind of a late intermediate lesson as well, so I'm going to assume that. So this song here, the first part of it. So this is the first lick. So you have this common thing you can do. So I'm just pulling off, and you can kind of think of it this way. So this is kind of like with blues, you'll come to realize that a lot of it is call and response. And so I might do this. This is the call, response. So now one thing I should tell you is this video, I put a lot of stuff in it. It doesn't have to be as complex as I've made it. So like say if you're just learning, just maybe take that first call and response, just maybe do those two if you're learning, okay? Because I just jumped from one to another because I was wanting to pack more into the video. I mean, it's a short video, but there's a lot of stuff in there, okay? So that would be the first one. Okay, so this is just kind of the concept I have here is that, you know, you can always play, when you're playing blues, you can always go to the chord that's 2 steps below, or a whole step below. Okay. So that's a great option. And sometimes I'll even do stuff like, so again, you know that you have your open strings here, and you also have your harmonics up here, which is the same thing, so you could go. Okay, so you just have this whole thing here you can play around with, okay? So that's the first takeaway. So endless possibilities right there, endless licks to be found there. You can do just almost anything with that. So now the second one is one that I've used for years. I first learned this like from Western swing music, and also if you've ever played Memphis. If you played in a band, you know, back in the day, you know, we always played Memphis, that thing. But the lead on that song does this little. Okay, so that's kind of how I associate that, and that's the thing with this video is you always want to associate these riffs like with the chord. So on this A that I showed you, associate that with this A shape. Okay, just endless possibilities, as I said. So this here is really unique. I've used this so many songs. So what's going on here is we're still in A. We're playing an A6. You can have step it down, or and I always, when I played this, I just knew that it sounded good. I never quite knew why. But what's going on here? You're going from an A6 to an A9. Okay. And when I first discovered this, it was a revelation to me, one of those aha moments, and maybe it will be for you. But let me explain to you why that works. Okay. When you have this A6th, and now when you go down to the 2 frets, that's an A9th, and the reason it is you can play a 9th like this. So you can see that why this is an A9th. This is our root. And the way I like to look at these, well, let me show you this. If you play it like this, now just bring your second finger up and put your first finger down here on the 9th. So what's going on here? This is your root. This is your 3rd. This is your 7th right here. Remember, for a chord to be a 9th, it has to, underlying that chord has to be a 7th. There's your 7th. There's your 9th right there. Okay. And this right here is the E, which is the 5th. So again, if you look at it this way, see how I have those 3 fingers? Well, voila, there's those 3 notes right out of that A6 shape. Okay. But I just like to look at it that way, just so in my mind I can tie it together, okay? And again, we talked earlier about some of our lessons. If you play, we talked about how to see your 3, 6, and your 9 right here. Here's your root note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. See this relationship? You got your root, 3, 6, 9. Okay? And there's your 5 again. So that's how I associate those 2 chords together. You can also look at this way. Here's your A. Just use this your first finger as kind of your marker. You could do it this way as well. Okay. And there's more to this that we're going to get to here in a few minutes that makes this even more interesting. So the first part of the song you have. Okay, now I did this. Now where is this coming from? This is a little D shape. This is an A7th, okay? And I learned this from the Johnny Smith technique. He has a chord shape that he does in there. I highly recommend doing the Johnny Smith method if you ever can find that book. I think it's on Amazon still. But here, if you look at it this way, here's an A7 that I bet you've never seen before. Okay, this is a really cool inversion of the A7th. It's a root inversion, but you'll see most people playing the A7th like this or like this, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But this is the more jazzy approach to the A7th, and I'll put the chart up. And this just always sounds really good. I remember when I used to play in the band, I would play this chord, and the bass player, he would always look at me. He would go, "What chord is that?" Because it just really stands out. It doesn't sound like it when you're playing it here, but it'll make people's ears perk up. They'll go, "What is that?" Just an A7th, just a different way of playing it. But notice inside that A7th, there's that D shape. Okay. Another place I learned this, and why I ended up tying it in. If you're like you're playing your blues, you come to your E, to your D. Watch this. See, that's part of the turnaround. So if you remember that, you can have an instant turnaround in the key of A, which I ended up not doing that in this blues, but look at that. Okay, so that's where the third one came in. Okay, so there's another one. The fourth time through, you can think of it too like this first A. We have 4 measures. So what I did was each measure I introduced a new theme. Okay, which in reality you wouldn't want to do. Probably not that much, you know. So you can take each one of these, as I was saying earlier, and you know, just practice on 2, you know, per measure, and you can make it a longer blues. But this is when we're getting ready to go into the D, but we're going to do this. Okay, so we had this. So now where is this coming from? This is your D7 shape, and take note of this D7 shape. You'll notice it occurs down here. Look, I'll show you a fun thing here. Here's your D7. Watch how this shape occurs. If you move everything up, there's an A major 7th. Move everything up again. There's your B7th. Move that shape up again. Here's just these 3 strings. That's an F sharp 7th. Okay, so this little shape here makes a 7th, and here we are on the D7th. And so always notice this relationship between your root note, and you skip a string and straight above it and directly across. That's your 7th. Okay, I see it that way. And here's your 3rd with my first finger. Let me explain this right here just real quickly in case some of you don't know this. But this right here, this is your basic cliche riff. Okay. I'm just using my A string as the drone. So that's just 1, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. And then we're going from this is your 5, and this is your 6. And you can go up to the 7th if you like. Okay, you can play that up here. I would encourage you to play it up here too. Okay, and I don't know if that's the correct key, but practice that definitely. If you're just learning, that's a lot of work. It's really quite a stretch, but you'll see, like Taking Care of Business, Chuck Berry does that all the time. You'll always see Chuck Berry just chugging away. So this is a great option as well. So then we shoot into the D, and you can play some of these open strings here too. This really gives you like a nice sounding 9th. You got your D7. This open E is the 9th. You can put it in here again as well. But sometimes it sounds better just to do just the 3 notes. And sometimes, a lot of times, just 2 notes will suffice. And I'll show you something really cool here. So you're going into that D. But notice these 2 notes right here. This is something that I learned a while back from a Danny Gatton video, which is kind of cool. You could play your blues, simple blues, right here if you wanted to. Say, so here's your D. If you go up here, this is your A 7th. So I could play my A 7th triad here. Here's your D 7th, A 7th. Just putting the 3rd back up here, but there's your 7th and your 3rd. Okay, so watch, you could play complete blues like this. Now goes to the 5. little fun thing for you right there. Okay, that's something that's good to know about, because sometimes you can just grab those little. These are just little double stops, but okay. Anyways, getting back to going into the D. So where this is coming from is if we're going to the D chord. Okay, so this is where the cage system comes in handy too. So if you think of your D chord, this is your A-shaped D chord. But now this would be your G shape, which is, again, play your third finger, put your first finger where your third finger was. And now this is my favorite position here. We're walking into the third. And this is puts you in kind of the Jimi Hendrix territory. But we can walk this. Okay, there's that seventh again. We're walking to the seventh. Okay, now you may be watching this and going, okay, well, how does he know that that's the seventh right there? Okay, so again, this is why knowing these shapes really comes in handy. Like notice when I was saying down here, notice directly across is that seventh. Skip a string, go directly across, that's the seventh. There's your third, seventh. It's easy for me to see when I'm here on my D. The reason I know that that's the seventh is because look, here's my D right here. Remember we said directly across. There's your seventh, there's your third. So I can see that seventh right there. And then back to the A, okay? So again, a lot of this is just connecting the dots. That's what's so cool about this. Okay, so let me cover the D one more time. So we come into what I did. A string, okay, so that's another cliche riff, this one right here. So what's happening is we're playing, you know, we're thinking of A. Well, on the A, there's that seventh right there. So we're playing the seventh. And then we're going from minor third to major third. Very cliche riff. This one here it really comes from the piano. This was really originally a piano lick, from what I understand. This one can be deceivingly hard to play, but it's just this. You just have your first finger on the 5th fret, grabbing these 4 strings, or these 3 strings, the D, the G, and the B string. And you're going to the 4 chord, which is the D. I mean, I've played complete songs that have that in there, like, you know. Okay, so that's, you know, if you learn anything from this lesson, that's a great takeaway right there. You know, just that, and that 9th is great. You can use that in a lot of songs. You know, we come out of that D. Then we're going to go to the E. We'll do the same thing on the E that we did on the D. Just like we did on the D. Now remember, this is your root note, this is your E. You could also think of this as coming from the E7th shape. You know how you play your C7 shape down here? Whenever you play the C7th, notice that little D7 shape right there. Okay? So here's on the E. Let me take it from the D, and then we're going to go through to the E just to kind of pull this whole thing together. So we have. Explain this part to you, because this is another really cool tidbit that, for you to know. Again, this you're going to see how this is all tied together to that ninth chord. This little lick here, this shape, you'll see how it looks like a D shape, not the D7 shape, but it also can look like a diminished shape as well. Let me back up and explain this whole thing for you though. I've used this a lot, like playing blues. I'll go like this. Okay, but you have to visualize this. Okay, so remember when we were doing this just a few minutes ago when we did this, and then we converted this into the ninth chord like this. Okay, but we can also play it like this. So look at this. So you can see we have like 3 different ways to play this ninth chord right here. And this is a very common one right here, but you can see it's just like almost a diminished shape. If I hop this down, you see there's a diminished. So this is a diminished 7th shape kind of thing, and this is the ninth, but your root is here. So if I do this, you'll see that. A lot of times I'll come from above it. So you're playing your blues. Okay, so like I said, you can see that it's a ninth. You can also look at it as a minor 7 flat 5, because look at this. This is a C sharp minor 7. This is my 5 right here. Look, if I flat my 5, there's a C minor 7 flat 5. Okay, or you could think of it as an A ninth with a C sharp in the bass, or C sharp. But the way to visualize this is you have to just visualize your root as being here, okay? Because this comes in handy when you're playing. So you're doing A, it goes to the D. See, now how did I know to go up there? Because I know that my D is right here, and I'm just, right behind it, because here's your D. Okay, so just so many possibilities right there with that little shape. Like, for example, in the song Heartaches by the Number, I used to do this all the time. Troubles by the score. So see, that was probably pretty sloppy just now, but see how just on the fly I was able to use that 6th chord. Here's the other cliche riff. This is even a country tune. Okay, now look, it goes to the C. fitting parts from this blues that I was showing you in the key of A, how I can instantly put that into a country song, and it sounds cool, and no one will ever know that these are blues licks that you're putting in there. So I love that about these little blues rhythms. They're universal, and you have to experiment on your own where you can use them in different songs. Okay, so let's go to the second 12 bars on this song. And like so far, if this is getting a little bit over your head, I mean, this is perfect right here. If you have to stop here, just go back and play around with what you've already learned here, because this is a lot to take in until you get this to become just part of your musical vocabulary. You can see all the possibilities. And then I'm sure, like, if some of you have already been playing for a while, you're going to have some aha moments, I hope. Yeah, hopefully you'll have a few aha moments on this lesson here. So, and that's why these are gotta-know guitar rhythms. This part 2. Where does that come from? So this part here, we're going to be jumping into some more 7th shapes. Again, some really cool stuff right here. So, okay, so this shape here is one you don't see very often. Let me tell you where that's coming from, because again, you always want to try to connect the dots. I always kind of compare it to like hiking in the mountains, and I did a lot more in my younger days, but it's kind of like you're on a hiking trail, and each time, maybe you want to go, okay, what's over here? You want to maybe take a different trail, or maybe you'll take a shortcut back. I was always exploring, and that's kind of what you're doing here on the guitar. You're finding maybe a different way of looking at it, or maybe a different path you're going to take. So where this is coming from, I was thinking I wanted a 7th there. I'm playing an A, and I'm up here in this neighborhood, okay? So I have, again, going back to the cage system, this is my E shape. This is my D shape. So I'm kind of in the neighborhood right there. And here's my A shape out of cage. So I'm kind of up here. I know that I have an A right here, but also look at this is an A7. Okay. Coming from a C7 shape that you probably already know down here. Here's another takeaway for you. You don't see many people doing this, but you can play it like so. See that? Here's your C7. See this all the time? Very seldom do you see this one. Now, if I just take this off and play that little triad, there it is. But if I do this, that's an A7th as well. Okay. So anyways, here's this A7th shape. So I'm going A to an A diminished, and then back to an A7th here. Now where does this A7th come from? Again, if you come up here, I was in my my cage C shape, and I know I have an A here. And how do I make an A7th? Well, there's an A7th right there that we've been playing, okay? Just like if you go down here and play a D, there's your D, your D7. Same thing here. So see how I connected those dots? I was up here. Okay, so we did this. Then I did that the second time. If you play your E-shaped A chord, and if you do your 7th like this, but notice your pinky. I always use that as kind of my target note. Again, connecting the dots. I know where my pinky lands is where I can put my first finger and get into that 7th shape. So all that is, it's just a little triad. And again, remember, we can turn these triads into diminished chords. Like, watch this. If I have a 7th chord, always play around with this. When you have a 7th chord, see what note you can add to make it a diminished. Because look at, here it is right here. And then back to my A, okay? Very simple, but it sounds so good. So that's all I did on that whole part. I had this first section here with this variation of the A7. Going to a diminished. Then I went back to the riff. And then I did the Okay, since I'm already up here in this neighborhood, after that last 7th lick, so I'm doing a D7, so you know, like, here's your D, your A-shaped D chord. Here's your 7th right here. Okay, so we're going to do that. Again, we're half stepping into it. So we're just kind of connecting the shapes, because here's your D here. We have your G shape. You have a 7th up here. You have a 7th here. Okay, again, we're connecting the dots. So we were so we know that this D7 shape, and then we're going to do this really cool thing, which is kind of a new one to me. I already knew this, but like in a different position. So, and I'll explain that to you in a second. We do this really cool thing here. So it's just starting on your D. We're playing a D up here now instead of down here. Okay, this is your E-shaped D. Remember, you can always play 2 steps below on a chord. It always works out. It's kind of weird that it does, but it ends up being some kind of 7th or whatever. I should figure out what that is, but it's just and then we're going to do this this really cool A9th chord. I learned this from Danny Gatton. This is like as everyone calls it, the hideaway chord. First time I seen this was a Danny Gatton video, like back when they actually had like the big thick, you know, VHS videos. I bought like a Danny Gatton lesson thing, and it was like way too complex for me. But this was one of the chords I remember learning in that video. I forget what those tapes used to be called. If anyone remembers, I think they were called Star Licks or something like that. Kind of difficult at first, but it actually will fall into your fingers with a little bit of practice. Just bringing my first finger up. Now the trick to this next diminished chord is bring your 3rd finger down. And you can toggle right into that diminished chord. Then you already have your A shape right there. So that all together is looks like this. Then so now this is the lick that I knew before I knew this one here. Look at how this is essentially the same thing. Here I'm on an E. I could have gone. Okay. But here it is up here. All this is doing, let me explain this to you real quick. So we're going D, C. This right here, if you play a D like this is a D6. So you know how when we're on the A6, we can go from A6 to A9. So now here you're on D. This is D6 to A9. So we have okay, now we come to the E, and I just was playing down here. Again, this is the same thing as when you're doing this. Here it is down here. So I'm just going from E to your 4 chord, which is A. And now it's going to go to the D. So I opted to do my little riff that I know. That's one of my favorites. To your C, then that's it. And there's an awful lot to talk about in that. I hope I didn't leave anything out. Let me just double check my notes here. Let me take you all the way through this whole thing, just playing just your basic blues riff down here at the bottom. So we start on A. I like to do a little bit of palm muting. Then we go to the D. You can always walk. Go to the 7th if you want to. Back to A. Get to the E. Here's your E. Your D. Your A. See now I threw that little riff in that I showed you earlier. So you could practice doing this. Practice doing it up here as well. Always associate that riff with this chord, your E-shaped chord. You know, on electric, you could even do it up here. It's kind of hard on acoustic, on your D. You could also look at one of my, I did like another lesson quite a few months ago, but I did a whole series on these little riffs here. There's a lot of really cool little movements you can do. Boy, there's a lot of information in there. I hope you got a lot out of that. I almost feel like, you know, I could just go on forever, and it's already turning into being such a long lesson. But let me know in the comments if you want to hear more of this stuff. You know, let me know which one of these is your favorites as well. Or, you know, let me know if something just really jumped off the page at you and you were able to connect the dots and take yourself to the next level. Because that's what it's all about, just connecting everything. Always try to connect. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoy making them, and we will see you on the next video. I'm sure I'll have something new and exciting to teach you. Okay, thanks again. Bye-bye.